you ever thought how the dirty water and waste of a house gets to the sewer? Have you ever wondered where the rainwater goes when it disappears down the drain? In this diagram, you can see what happens. The waste from the bath, lavatory and sink runs down the house drain into the inspection chamber, where it is collected into one drain. From there, it runs into the sewer, where it is joined by the rain from the street gutter. In these sewers below the roads, gangs of workmen are always at work. You call them sewermen. They call themselves flushers. Here is a gang getting ready to go below. Notice their tool house, their clothes, and their long wading boots. The flushers descend to the sewer through a manhole. Here they go down 10 feet below the pavement. Sometimes the depth is as much as 140 feet. The sewer is in total darkness, and so the men must carry electric hand lamps to give them light. But the first flusher to go down carries another kind of lamp, a gas detector, because although the sewers are ventilated, there is always a danger from explosive gases. Here is a close view of the detector. It is divided into two parts. The lower part has a red light in it, which goes on automatically if there is any gas about. This sewer is free from gas, and the flushers descend one at a time to do their work. Now watch these sewermen at work in their underground world below the pavement. The bucket, or skiff as it is called, is lowered, and the shovels are lowered with it. Knee-deep in the water and waste of houses and factories, the flushers begin their work of keeping the sewers clean. All over London, and in every town in Britain, men like these are working night and day. Here is a sewer from which the water has been diverted to allow the men to work better and clear away the road grit, which clings to the channels and blocks the flow of water. For the sake of our health, this sediment must be cleared out from the bottom of the sewers. Notice how the sewers vary in size. This man has just come out of a 3-foot into an 8-foot sewer, but they can be as much as 11 foot 6 in diameter. The amount of water in them varies too, from the merest trickle to a depth of 3 or 4 feet. Now the skiff has been filled, and a chain is fixed to it. It is raised to the street by means of a winch. Here it is emptied into the gutter and is removed by lorry. All the time as the flushers work, waste and water is flowing into the sewers from hundreds of inlets. What happens when it rains? There's danger. The lookout gives a warning to the men below by hitting the steel steps with a bar. The noise rings out through the sewer and tells the flushers that they have to come out. They don't waste any time doing this, for in a storm the sewer can be filled with water within 10 or 15 minutes. storm water rises above a certain level, it overflows into a lower sewer and from there runs straight into the Thames. But usually, where does the sewage go after it has emptied the sewer? Let's see what happens to it in London. In the old days, the Thames used to be the great drain of London, and all the sewers, which roughly followed the lines of the old tributary streams, carried the sewage directly into it. You can imagine how unhealthy that was. About 1860, there was a new system. Instead of going straight into the river, all the sewage was carried into two outfall sewers, one in the north of London and the other in South London. Pumping stations were installed to pump sewage from lower to higher levels where necessary. The biggest of these pumping stations is Abbey Mills at West Ham. Abbey Mills has 19 pumping engines. These help to keep the sewage moving in the sewers. In dry weather, only 2 of these are kept at work. But as soon as a storm is registered on the rainfall indicator, some of the other pumps are started up to deal with the extra amount of water. Gradually, the flow of the water in the sewers gets less. When the sewage reaches the main sewers, it is carried to the outfall, which in North London finishes at Bexham. Here the sewage and water is purified before entering the Thames. This is done in several stages. First of all, the solid matter is separated from the water in settling tanks. The water, or effluent, is then drawn off and is mixed with bacteria, which attack and destroy the impurities in it. The mixing process goes on for 2 or 3 hours. After this, the mixture is drained off and the purified effluent is carried to the river. Meanwhile, back in the settling tanks, workmen sweep the sludge out to the screen rakes, where the bulky matter is separated from the finer matter. The bulky matter is carried on trucks to a machine where it is mixed with household refuse. This mixture becomes fertilizing compost, which is used on farms. The finer matter has gas extracted from it, and this is used to drive the machinery. Any waste that is left over is loaded onto a sludge vessel. The sludge vessel goes down the Thames and dumps its contents in the sea at Blackdeep, 57 miles out. And that is the story of London's sewers. 400 miles of main and 2,000 miles of smaller sewers. It is also the story of hundreds of flushers who work in the underground world of sewage to keep our towns healthy.